This is called equanimity. This equanimity is what's called yoga. These are good slogans for yoga t-shirts, I think. Equanimity is what they call yoga. Chill out. Chill out about the future. You can't control it anyway. Yeah? Chill out about what you're going to get about personally. Just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. Okay? This is enlightened action. And this is also, of course, stress-free action. This is unbusy action. See, stress comes from expectation. Right? How's it going to work out? Arjuna, action alone is much inferior to action done with the yoga of understanding. This is my favorite kind of yoga. It's not, Iyengar or Ashtanga. Buddhi yoga. Okay? Buddhi. Not booty. Many people practice booty yoga. I want to try to get a good bottom out of my yoga. Get a yoga butt. Booty yoga. Buddhi yoga. The yoga of the intellect. The yoga of using your head. Take refuge in understanding. Those driven by the pursuit of results are pathetic, he says. Kripana. Kripana means pitiful, pitiable. Okay? Those driven by the pursuit of results. And all of us in ordinary action are driven by the pursuit of results. By intention, by purpose. I'm doing this for a reason. Not I'm doing this for its own sake. I'm doing this in order to get something. Everyone in this world is bound by actions unless they are done as sacrifices. So this is another way of talking about intentionless action is sacrificial action. I'm doing this for something or someone else, not for me. Yeah? In the old Vedic sacrifices, the fire sacrifices, they would, there was a formula as they're pouring the oblation. This is the word here is yajna, which goes back to the old fire sacrifice. They pour in the oblation into the fire. Itam agnaya namama. This is for Agni. This is for the god of fire, not for me. See? This action is for the benefit of others, not for me. This action is to help other people. This action is, to be part of the, the goodness of life, to help, to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. No mama, not for me. That's sacrificial. Another way of talking about action without intention, without personal intention of expectation of reward. So perform action with that as the purpose. Arjuna freed from attachment. So perform action with that as the purpose, Arjuna, freed from attachment. Attachment to results. The disciplined one letting go of the obsession with the future results of action obtains perfect peace. The undisciplined is bound by attachment to the outcome of actions done out of ignorant desire. You should know, Arjuna. Here's another yoga t-shirt slogan. Yoga is what they call renunciation. Sannyasa. So renunciation of what? Quite clear in the Bhagavad Gita, renunciation of the fruits of action. Renunciation of what am I going to get out of this? See, that's what yoga is. That's karma, especially karma yoga. No one becomes a yogi who has not renounced expectation of selfish advantage. Selfish advantage means sankalpa. This is sankalpa. Intention, expectation. So this is a definition of who's a real yogi. So fifth, the true self is already free. So another way of talking about all of this stuff, action without expectation, action without hope for results, action without, kind of personal investment in what I'm going to get out of it. Another way of talking about all that is action done with a contented mind. Contented. Contented with what there is to do. And not discontented about the present situation and the hopes for something different in the future. Contented action. So this bit is also from the Ashtavakra Gita that says your real self has never been anything other than contented. Your real self has never been bound or unliberated. Your true self has always, from beginningless time, been unstained, unaffected by any kind of suffering. Virtue and vice, pleasure and pain, these are all in the mind. And they are not you, my king. This is Ashtavaka to Janaka. They are not you. So remember Cindy was talking about the Yoga Sutras. Yoga Chitta Vritti Naroda. The yoga is the stopping of the turbulence of the mind. And then one who does that will find their swarupa, their true form. And then it says, otherwise, this is all from the first chapter of the Yoga Sutra, otherwise you identify with the turbulence of the mind. See? Otherwise you identify with the mental afflictions, the kleshas, here is the virtue, vice, pleasure, pain. Otherwise you identify, but that's not you. You are not your mental afflictions. The real you is not just a bundle of mental afflictions. And the you, say your name to yourself, you. The individual you could argue, is nothing but your mental afflictions. You are your mental afflictions. You don't have mental afflictions. There's not a you over here, mental afflictions over here that then you somehow like go and shop for or something. Yeah? You are their mental afflictions. But that's not who you really are. You are neither the producer nor the recipient of karma. Who's the real you? The lower self is certainly the producer and the recipient of karma. The egotistical self, the sense of an individual self cut off from other individual selves, that is the producer and recipient of karma.
When they have a definition in the Uttara Tantra of Buddha nature, they do say the word stainless, or that it has not been touched by the mental afflictions. So they make a distinction to say that the Buddha nature and the mental afflictions, they don't touch. You know, it's unstained. It's never been stained by the mental afflictions. Like with the clear blue sky, when the clouds come over the clear blue sky, when they leave, they don't leave a trace that you can see that the clouds have touched the clear blue sky. Now, they're two different things. And even they say, like, it's not that your mental afflictions are dirty and Buddha nature is clean. It's like it's pre-clean, pre-dirty. It's beyond even thinking about karma and dividing it out like that. It's unstained by all of those distinctions. So, yeah.
You are neither the producer nor the recipient of karma. You are truly and always free. The real you, your deeper nature, has never been anything other than free. You are the one witness of everything. Not a doer, but a witness. The ultimate you, the real you, the deeper you. Uninvolved in action. You are always completely free. Your only bondage is seeing yourself as something other than the witness. So this text says that in many different kinds of ways. The only reason that we think that we are not free is because we think we're not free. The only reason that we think we're not free is that we think we're not free. See, and believe it. We've talked ourselves into it. We've talked ourselves into being, to identifying fully with an unfree being. And that is not who we really are. The true self is the observer, all-pervading, complete in itself. One means unitary. Free, aware, inactive, detached, without desire, and at peace. It is a mistake to think it's trapped in samsara. Samsara means the cycle of pain. It's a mistake to think that we are anything other than free. It's a mistake to think that we are who we think we are. That we are this kind of suffering lower self. Like, what's that movie that Gollum's in? Lord of the Rings? Everyone see Lord of the Rings? That, you know that Gollum character? That like kind of pathetic creature? That's That's you say your name to yourself. No, that's the suffering little me. And you are not that. You are not Gollum. Really. We've identified with Gollum. Yes, I'm Gollum. You are not your body, nor is your body you. This is very important. I mean, especially in a materialistic age like we live, we fully identify with the physical body, don't we? And that's a mistake too. If you've identified with the physical body, you will certainly die. Because the physical body dies, isn't it? Yeah. But there's other parts of our being that we fail to identify with that have never been born and so never die. If you have a birthday, you will have a death day. You see? And if you think you're your body, that means that you have a birthday. But and therefore you will have a death day. But if you identify with your deeper nature, which has never been born, then that's the immortal. That's the immortal part of us. The idea that we can attain deathlessness somehow as ourselves, as individuals, as you say, that's a fantasy, a total fantasy. And furthermore, like, what a nightmare. Like, I will live forever? Me? I personally will. It's like some old Japanese science fiction of the suffering being who would never die, Yeah. In the Christian tradition, say you have to die to rise again. What does that mean? You have to die to be born again. You have to die to your old self. You have to die to the individual self, to the suffering self, to the Gollum self, in order to rise as the immortal self. The caterpillar has to go if the butterfly is going to emerge. So the longer we grasp on, the more we grasp on to the suffering self, the less possible it is to realize the free self, the self that's never been anything other than free. You are not your body, nor is your body yours. You are neither the doer of action nor the recipient of the result. The real you now he's talking about. So I said before that you could say that the lower self, the individual self, the personal self, is just a bundle of mental afflictions. You could also say that the self is karma, the lower self, okay? Lower self doesn't have karma or produce karma or receive. It is karma. See? So, and you could also say, so you could say it like this, okay? That the actor is action. Okay? The actor is action. The person is what they do. Is karma, is what they do. And what they do is who the person is. You hear the difference? You are your actions, and your actions are you. And neither actor nor action can come first. They're in this kind of mutually defining relationship. So as long as you're identified as the actor or as the action, you are caught up in this world of suffering and pain. And so these texts are saying, that's not who you really are. You are not the doer of action nor the recipient of the result. You are eternally the essence of consciousness, the independent observer. So then he says, Sukhachara. So, hang out happily. Just relax already. Move around happily. For the yogi liberated in this very lifetime. Jiva Mukta. Have you heard of this kind of, there's a yoga school that's called Jiva Mukta. Jiva means living. Mukta means released, free. So free while still here. There's actually a big debate about it in India, whether it was even possible for you to be free while still living. Somebody says, no, you got to die first. You got to shed the body first. Right? And then, texts like this says, no, it's possible. The same debate happened in Buddhism, actually. It's possible. It's possible to be, in the Buddhist tradition, they say, nirvana with remainder. What's the remainder? Let's see. Until it wears out. Okay? But you're in nirvana. Versus nirvana without remainder. Which is when you shed the body and you and you assume your true identity fully, without having to carry around this, this bag of bones. When one realizes, for the yogi who liberated in this very lifetime, just here living out his life, right? Just hanging out, living, doing what comes, Sometimes in this text it says like a leaf being blown here and there, just like a leaf, just whatever happens I do, whatever comes my way, happy all the time. Just living out his life. What is there to be done when there's no attachment in the heart? Remember, what is there to be done? Suffering, samsara, is nothing other than the compulsion, the feeling that there's something that I need to do all the time. So this is a text of somebody, this is a verse about somebody who's abandoned that kind of understanding. There's nothing to be done. What is there to be done when there's no attachment in his heart? Do what comes to you to do, that's all. When one realizes that his true self is neither the doer nor recipient of karma, then the distortions of the mind are completely destroyed. So these are amazing, amazing verses on what the liberated state really looks like when it comes to action. See? And I didn't see anything here that would suggest somebody, liberated person who feels very busy. Right? Just the opposite. So this last bit, how to act freely. I mean, sometimes maybe these kind of texts seem like so, they're talking about a state of mind or a way of living that's so far removed from, our ordinary life. But we have experiences regularly of action done without attention to the fruits of action. And so I gave 2 examples here. Talk a little bit more about it in the book. I'm not hawking my book, but if you haven't read it and you find this interesting, you might pick up a copy because I go into it in whole chapters. So work as play, life as art. We all have to work. We all have things to do. But we have experiences of action done without expectation of reward. And one of those kinds of actions is play. When we're playing, when we are at play, it's not that we're playing in order to get something out of it, in order to achieve a result. Many of you have heard this before. I'll just do an oldie but a goodie, okay? If you went to a playground and you ask, a child who's busy, swinging or sliding or on the teeter-totter, little girl, what is the point of your swinging? What do you hope to achieve by this going back and forth? Why the going up the slide, down the slide? You see, what expectation do you have here of of a result, right? Why the climbing on the jungle bars? Why? There's no purpose to it. There's no purpose to pure play. Okay? It's action done for its own sake. It's done because it's fun to do, not because there's something to get from it, you see? And that's another way of thinking about what these texts are talking about when they're talking about pure action. Action done without compulsion and without expectation. The kid doesn't feel like, oh, I have to go and swing. Have to get to the playground and go swing, If that's the case, it's sad. It would be a sad little kid. It feels like this drive to play. Okay, so that's one example. And then Cindy was talking about this at the very first of the class, the Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche story of making an action like setting out the table for dinner into an art form. Life as art. And art, too, has no purpose, really. It's for its own sake. Of course, artists have to make a living and all like that, too, but the actual art is an activity done for its own sake. Because it's beautiful. You see? Because it's pleasing in and of itself. So wouldn't it be nice to live that way in all aspects of our lives? Going to work and just being an artist all day. You see? Or going to work and playing, like a kid at the playground. And that's pure action. That's action. That's action that's not bound up in karma. That's action that's done freely. That's action that's not done compulsively because of past habit, or with expectation because of future, intention or hope for what I'm going to get out of it later. And so, sorry. I was going
to say, we found a nice quote today from Alan Watts, which is about, this kind of expression. And you can think about, like, when you listen to music or play music or when you dance, the point isn't to get to the end of the song. So this kind of compulsion that we have to finish jobs, and once I finish the job, then I'll be happy, then I can relax. And if you think about how you listen to music, if the point of listening to music was to get to the end of the song, then the shortest song would be the best music, right? Yeah, finished, right away. That's awesome. So the point of listening to music is listening to the music. So it's the same sort of thing, and if we can bring that into our activities in our lifetime, then we do live this more sort of enjoyment of the present moment, enjoyment of the unfolding of the music of life, or the dance of life. Same with dancing. The point of dancing is not to finish the song, The point of dancing is dancing. So before you finish, I just wanted to plug the retreat in a way, because we were talking a little bit yesterday about addiction from somebody's question, and it reminded me actually of this last part, work as play, life as art, and also what I was talking about at the beginning of class when we were doing the review about your passion, and the point really being not to find enjoyment, not so much to find enjoyment in doing something you love, but to love everything that you're doing. So working out a way to bring that passion to all aspects of life, And so why do we divide out things that are enjoyable and not enjoyable, We find some things inherently enjoyable and some things that are inherently unenjoyable. So there's a Buddha in the mandala of the 5 Buddha families, and I wanted to bring it up because we're going to be doing a retreat in May on the 5 Buddha families, and it's the way that you can artistically use these energies that we have of the sort of previously known as mental afflictions, like addiction, obsession, and so on, and anger. I mean, for what I'm going to talk about, it's the sort of affliction of obsession, addiction, that kind of thing. Stress. And so your work, the retreat and this sort of technique is a way to really ride that energy into enlightenment. So rather than thinking, oh my God, addiction's bad, and putting the opposite in, which is an appropriate response to addiction, right? That's one way to approach it. This technique is really trying to work out a way, since that energy of addiction is so strong, it's almost like, it's like a huge wave coming at you. Instead of trying to punch through it, going the opposite way, you quickly turn around and start paddling and try and ride that wave into awakening. So you're using the energy of addiction and obsession instead of trying to punch through it. So it's one technique. It's also appropriate to do the opposite of abstinence, But so in terms of loving everything that you do, if you think about the energy of addiction, you think about the energy of obsession. Shanti Deva in the verse yesterday was talking about activity like you're intoxicated with it, right? So do you remember this yesterday? We were talking about having this sort of intoxication and obsession and addiction. If you can just feel that in your body, like I said yesterday, we're all addicted to something. We all have this sort of obsession and addiction. Now, it might be of a person, maybe in the past or even now. There was a person you were really obsessed about, Think about how that energy feels in your body. You have this sort of like deep connection. Obsession is that you've got this full attention on somebody. Obsession means you're completely aware of everything. You know, I'm obsessed with Angie, and then I'm obsessed with Angie, and then I see everything about her, and I know exactly what she likes, and I think about her all the time, you know. So there are some aspects of that affliction that you can find are actually in awakening. Awakening means that you have this appreciation of others' good qualities. You have this sort of attention on others. Can you see the sort of way to transform? And then, as I drop the affliction of separation, and as I drop the affliction of thinking that the good qualities are only in Angie, then I can start spreading that out so that you start to recognize that it's not just Angie, that's the sort of afflicted part of it, that's me narrowing in on one object. But if you can spread that out, then you have, rather than obsession, you have attention. Rather than intoxication, you have awareness, appreciation of the good qualities in all phenomena. So you see, you're riding this addiction to an ability to appreciate, to see the good qualities in all things, you know. And then this is more like art, you know. You get to see the inherent beauty in all things. You get to see the artistry of all things. And your attention doesn't skip onto the things that you sort of have just made up in your mind are worthy of your love and kindness and so on, the other people, for instance, and things that you've decided are not. Trying to kind of spread that out over all people, all action, all jobs that you have to do. See if that addiction, obsession that you have with your stamp collecting, or whatever hobby it is that you have that you're obsessed with, see if that can then go to mowing the lawn, you know, the activity that you don't enjoy so much. So you work with those energies and see if you can drop the afflicted aspect of it, the separation and the dividing out. See if you can bring that energy toward all aspects of life, and that's really the art of living. Can all aspects of life be beautiful, you know? Some of the art's going to be really easy, beautiful art, and some of it's going to be conceptual art, you know? Some of the artwork is going to be more sort of challenging and conceptual, but every object, every work, job that you have to do, every person, relationship that you're involved in, you try and bring a sort of attention and an appreciation to it and a way to work with it artistically. Do you see the way that we could have art as life as art, work as play? So that was a little colorful.
Yeah, late May of next year. At Midtown Island, again, we're working it out still.
Yeah, but register with Angie if you're interested.
So the last two verses are just, you know, the last two verses refer to someone, to a kind of a person who does live their whole lives as if it were play, which is a child. So be like a child, and with that kind of sense of wonder, that sense of like pure presentistic orientation, very common actually in the spiritual literatures of both West and East, Eastern religions. Jesus also said, be like a child. You know, the kingdom of heaven is for those who are like children, not childish, but childlike. The master does whatever comes to him to do, whether it's agreeable or distasteful. His or her conduct is like that of a child. The sage who is without desire in all undertakings behaves in a childlike fashion. Acts done by a pure one like this are without stain. So just to finish up the readings. The point is that the ultimate unbusy person is the enlightened person. Is the person who is free, and we can practice that. We can practice freedom in our actions, and we, this class suggests a couple of tricks for it. To try to act without expectation of results. To action for its own sake. Action focused on the present rather than on the past, compulsion and habit and all of that, or on the future. What am I going to get out of it? Hopeless, without hope, without intention, without purpose, but for its own sake. And that's free action. And the ultimate unbusy. The ultimate unbusy person. Living fully in the present. So we have a little time for questions, if there are any. Yes, Jay. Jay has a question.
Yes, I do. Okay. Yesterday, I missed one talk, but anyway, yesterday you talked about hedonism. And I think that my view of life is that the purpose of life is to enjoy it, right? And there is no reason, all right, to overcome a problem because the only thing you don't want to enjoy life. So the only motivation I would have to overcome a problem is to, be happy and enjoy life. But that's not what I'm meaning on.
That's not exactly what hedonism means, though. I mean, of course we all want to enjoy life. Hedonism is the constant need to be pleasured, to have pleasurable sort of sensations all the time. That's
so are you talking about more pleasure-seeking and pain avoidance?
We all try that. That's just human nature.
Oh, no,
But
people just can't stand pain.
No, I mean, enjoying life, enjoying life means understanding what the real joy is in life, as opposed to just seeking, one pleasurable experience after another. Where's the real joy in life?
The main question here.
Okay.
You say that some.
I just wasn't going to let you get away with that first part. I wasn't going to let you get away with that first part. But go ahead, ask your name.
Actually, just, I'm just thinking to myself that, that usually what happens a lot of times, and I'm not the only one who's guilty of it, I think there are a lot of others who are, is that the minute pain occurs, we straight away go into strategy as to how to cut it off, shut it off,
Absolutely.
avoid it, etc. And I see people like, disappointment, okay, all right, here's a sweet. A child falls down, they're crying, let them cry, finish the crying, and then you give them a sweet. But no. Give them a sweet now so they stop crying right away. So shutting off pain seems to be a predominant activity.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. But then the thing is this, right? Now, samsara and the making and not making of promises, that would only lead to samsara. Because if I make a promise, I am already bound by that promise to perform, which means that if I die right away, I will not be able to do that which I promised to do tomorrow. And so, I'm just thinking, and the other part is that saying no leaves us with nothing to do. Okay, you want to go out? No. It's like really dead, okay. But so I'm just thinking to myself, right? If someone asks us to do something, and I say yes, it puts busyness on my plate. If someone asks me to do, if I say no, I eventually have nothing to do. I'm already free, so I kind of.
I think that you're taking both of those suggestions to their extreme.
Yes.
So he wasn't saying say no to everything. We were talking about when you are in the overwhelm, feeling like you've said yes to things that you can't fulfill, then you maybe need to work out where your priorities are and say no to certain things because your attention and energy needs to be on the things that you've already made commitments to, what your dharma is. But he wasn't saying say no to everything and...
I understand fully. I'm afraid
Okay.
So the crux, I'm giving the background to what I'm thinking
okay.
Right? So I'm thinking to myself actually that in order to find some kind of middle ground where I don't commit to something whereby not being able to do it or unfortunate circumstances occurring, like, I'm sorry I died during dinner, I didn't say goodbye, stuff like that. I would think that the best thing would say, maybe. Can you do this? Maybe. And if it's done in 3 days, then it is done. I could do it. But I think that we cannot be sure that we can do anything until it's done. Really.
I think you need to move to the Middle East, inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
No, I don't believe in God. God be willing, no, sorry. No. It can be done. If it's going to be done, the only guarantee I have that I could do something is that if that was done.
Yeah. Well, you know, in a sense, I think you're right, Jay. I mean, all of life is just one big maybe, isn't it? Like, you know. But the point is the point is really about intention. You know, so if you say yes, it means I intend. I intend to do it. Inshallah. And if you say no, it means I'm sorry. I can't promise that. I won't put my intention there. So, you know, intention is everything. You know, it's kind of like what I was trying to say here in this class, is that it really, I mean, it sort of matters what you do and say. But the very same action that you can perform can have two very different sort of meanings depending on the intention. The idea that, the example I always like to use is like, you know, you can take a knife and cut somebody's body open with two very different intentions, right? You can do it with the intention of like disabling them so you can steal their money, or you can do that with the intention of trying to do surgery in order to take the cancer out of their body. Same action, exact same action. So it's really, you know, the spiritual life is really about trying, number one, to train our intentions. To train our intentions to be good rather than bad, to be helpful rather than hurtful. And also to you know, as part of that, to be truthful rather than false. Right? Let's do lunch sometime. With no intention whatsoever to, you know, actually do lunch sometime. So like that. And that's, you know, that's where most of us are most of the time, is trying, you know, if we're on a spiritual path, is trying to, you know, trying to train our minds to have better intentions rather than worse intentions. But the method I was talking about today, and